Hello everybody, welcome back. And if you're new, my name is Chris. Today is December 18th. And as we are winding towards the end of the year, there are several fun videos I wanted to do kind of as a wrap-up of the year 2021. I recently did a video of my best blind buys for the winter. And today I'm going to do my most disappointing or my least successful blind buys of 2021. Maybe I just bought something on a whim. I added something to my cart to get the free shipping. Something was inexpensive. I've had dozens of those. But these are the blind buys that I had the highest expectations for, that I thought I was going to love, and they turned out to be big duds. Also in store for the next couple weeks, I want to do a top purchases of 2021, most complimented fragrances of 2021, signature scents, and my winter lineup. Do not fret. The fragrances behind me are not for today's video. It is for a video in the next couple days. The fragrances behind me I absolutely love, and I will be wearing a lot this winter. So if you'd like to see what my 8 most unsuccessful or most disappointing blind buys of 2021 were, well, please keep watching. So it turns out I cannot count. I actually have a list of 9 fairly unsuccessful blind buys on my little list here. I only still have one fragrance. It is currently up on Mercari. Everything else I have decluttered successfully. Listen, I have said before that I am a blind buy recidivist. I don't think that's going to change. Hopefully I'll get a little bit smarter in the year 2022. But the first fragrance I'm going to talk about is a fragrance I think I purchased around a year ago right now. And I was so looking forward to this fragrance. I thought, how could you go wrong with the fragrance entitled A Whiff of Waffle Cone? I mean, there are few things that smell better than a waffle cone that is cooking when you walk into an ice cream shop and you smell those waffle cones being made. It is just magic. So I assumed that this would smell very similar to, or almost exactly like, a waffle cone that I am used to. I know waffle cones very well. I grew up where it was really, really hot and played sports, so going out for ice cream was a big part of my youth. And I'm a big gourmand lover, and I love vanilla. So I thought this was a super safe blind buy, and it wasn't. It wasn't because it just doesn't smell like the waffle cones that I'm used to. Yes, it smells apparently like a Stroop waffle. I guess I like the American version better. This one, this European type waffle, has caramel in it, and to me it just smelled like whatever sugar that was in there had overly caramelized to the point of being burned or almost burned. So I just think it's just personal preference. I know people that enjoy that fragrance. I just don't happen to be one of them. Fortunately, it was not that expensive, and fortunately for me, I was able to declutter it and sell it on Mercari fairly quickly. So somebody is enjoying my successful declutter. Okay, so the next fragrance that I thought I was going to love that turned out to be a little bit of a disappointment is Tragedies Reminiscence. And I'm going to put a picture of the bottle and the notes up because I don't have the bottle anymore. So I'm just going to refer to my phone for the notes. And it has, let's see, what do we got here? So orange, cardamom, petitgrain, almond blossom, orange blossom, plum, vanilla, musk, and cedar. And that all sounds so amazing. Particularly, I love almond. I love orange blossom. That is fairly safe for me, even though not all florals are. The orange, the cardamom, I love cardamom. I love spices. I love vanilla, musk, and cedar. So it sounded like it would be really good. The problem is that I already have a sweet vanillic orange blossom that I adore, Guimauve de Noël. It's fantastic. And the problem is that fragrance, this Reminiscence Tragedies, just could not compete with my Guimauve de Noël. And it, to me, there was a little bit of a slight plasticky note to it, or I picked up something a little bit plasticky, and it wasn't as sweet and dreamy as I was hoping. However, for the price, I do think that it is a decent alternative. I'm quite sure there are many people that adore it. The problem is I already had a beautiful sweet orange blossom that I love, so it was just kind of doomed from the start. So that one had to go as well. Okay, the next one was an amouage, and when I purchased the bottle and the fragrance came and I kind of went to town spraying it, I was just, suffice it to say, it did not work out. It was not a hit at all. It was just a giant mess on me. And that fragrance is Amouage Lyric Woman. And so the notes are notes that I should love. We've got rose, there's cardamom, cinnamon, ginger, bergamot, there's ylang ylang, orris. I mean, there's a whole heap of notes in here. Angelica, jasmine, incense, sandalwood. I mean, goodness gracious. It's got the kitchen sink in here. And several of these notes, I love incense. It's just the incense, the spicy, incensey rose got me. That got me. And it just did not smell like a spicy, incensey rose. This was a literal punch to the nose. This thing has the strongest opening, and maybe it was just me, but I had two people that said I smelled like a mothball, and it just wasn't good. So I was really kind of devastated that I had to declutter it. Now I'm quite sure that this fragrance works out for other people. Just, you know, hey, potato, potato, didn't work out for me. So that was another huge, unfortunate and unsuccessful blind buy. Okay, so the next really unsuccessful blind buy for me, this one was kind of a disaster on me. There's a common theme here. It was by Serge Lutens and Féminité du Bois. Now, again, I just assumed from the notes and everything I read about this fragrance that it was going to be a home run. We have Virginia cedar, we have plum, cinnamon, peach, clove, ginger, ylang ylang, violet, rose, orange flower, sandalwood, benzoin, musk, and vanilla. Those all sound amazing, and singularly or maybe paired up with one another, they might be delicious, but all together, they just did not work. And I would swear that there was cumin in here, because this fragrance on me just had a terrible, and I don't know if it was the Virginia cedar and the clove and the ginger or what, but it had a very, very off-putting scent. It smells like, you know, my brothers after they play basketball in the Texas sun for 2 hours. Just not pleasant. It was very animalic. I don't know how to put it politely. Let's just say it didn't smell good. My brothers didn't smell good after they played basketball for a while, so it had a very, and I don't know. Like I said, that's usually when some sort of wood and cumin come together. Instead of smelling good and pencil shavy, they go off into the animalic body odor territory. It was not good. And maybe, you know what, if you're one of those fortunate ones that has that really good skin chemistry where it smelled great on you, I am jealous, but it had to go, and it had to go pretty quickly because it was kind of a big giant disaster. I think I only wore it once or twice and then it left. So Féminité du Bois by Serge Lutens, and Serge Lutens are hit and miss with me. So they are one of the houses that are a risky blind buy for me. So I stopped blind buy from Serge Lutens a while ago. I currently think I only have one. Actually, did I get rid of them all? Did I declutter all my Serge Lutens? I don't know. I think I did. No, that's not true. I have a couple. And I have some decants. And I haven't tried several of them. So, you know, I think for Serge Lutens, that is definitely a house that I need to sample first. Okay, the next very unsuccessful blind buy for me, and it wasn't terrible. I mean, the fragrance to me just didn't smell good, but it wasn't that expensive. So it wasn't, you know, it wasn't this gut punch, oh, what did I do? Blind buy. It was, this just does not smell pleasant at all. I want nothing to do with this fragrance. I'm going to declutter it. And whew, it was only around, I don't know, maybe $50, $60. I think you guys all know this fragrance well. I was pretty harsh with it a couple months ago on a video. I roasted the heck out of this one, and it is Furioso by Fendi. Not a big fan of that one. Yeah, so the notes, pink pepper. We got bergamot, wallflower. Have never smelt a wallflower, I do not believe. Gardenia, jasmine, amber, incense, and guaiac wood. Everything sounds okay, but together, you know, big no. Big no, no, no. And yeah, that wasn't happening. So that one got decluttered, and it is in a new home right now, and a very appreciative new home. The person who took it off my hands is very happy. So it ended well, but yeah, so that was fairly unsuccessful. Okay, so this next one was another kind of, wow, I was so disappointed when I smelled this for a couple reasons. Number one, my hopes were so high on this fragrance. I thought for sure, no doubt about it, I would love this fragrance. I mean, there was no doubt in my mind. So I had these high hopes, high expectations, and it was a very, very expensive fragrance. And the only reason why I blind bought it, because I thought there was no way I wouldn't like it. And I do think that I am in the minority with this one. I was told, there was another fragrance reviewer that says that this fragrance smells like a blueberry muffin. And someone who works with like 300 fragrance oils, I have fragrance oils that smell. I have blueberry muffin, blueberry waffle, blueberry pound cake, blueberry cobbler. I mean, and I love the way they smell. And I would have loved a fragrance that smelled like that with a little pinch of lemon and maybe just a touch of sandalwood and vetiver. And that is Poets of Berlin by Wilhelm Parfums. That just, and maybe, again, my expectations were so high. It does not smell like a blueberry muffin. And I thought my nose was broken. So I went around to like 3 or 4 people and I said, does this smell like a blueberry muffin to you? Not a single one said that. So, and of course, I always buy my fragrances from reputable sites because I want to make sure that I get something that's authentic and not a fake, especially when I'm spending a lot of money. So to me, this had a very, and it must have been the vetiver. This had a very scratchy, there was something that smelled like cardboard in here. It smells like cardboard. I kept getting this dry cardboard smell, and instead of smelling like a blueberry muffin, it had this blueberry cigarette vibe thing going on. So did not work out for me. That was a fairly quick declutter and successful declutter. I got that one off my hands, but another example of you can't always go by the notes. You know, you look at these notes and you think, for sure I'm going to love this fragrance. It doesn't always work out that way, and this is a really good example of it not working out at all. But, you know, I know, you know, potato, potato again. Some people love it. It just wasn't for me. I needed it to be more gourmand. I needed there to be more vanilla. I needed there to be maybe more blueberry, maybe that vetiver toned down, a little bit creamier. I probably would have loved it a lot more. So bye-bye to that one. Okay, I'm making it through my list fairly rapidly. The next one was another shocker. It is by, who makes this? Oh my gosh, I should know this, Lancôme. And it was called Roses Berberanza. That one, I was so mad that did not work out because all the notes in here sound deliciously yummy. We've got tangerine, rose, pistachio, raspberry, ginger, hazelnut, honey, rum, vanilla. I mean, look at all these notes over here. They just sound amazing. The opening, however, just killed me. I have no idea. And it had to have been the pistachio and something else. But it smelled like gym socks. The opening was just, I'm going to say horrible. It's horrible. Like I said, I have 3 brothers. I know what a gym sock smells like. The opening smelled like a gym sock. It was pretty terrible. So I tried to work through that because apparently the dry down was really, really good. And so I really tried to work through it. But the opening was just so off-putting, and I'm pretty sure it was that pistachio. Let me tell you, pistachio is hit or miss with me. There are some pistachio fragrances I've purchased specifically for the pistachio. They did not work out. And I love just kind of these warm, nutty fragrances, but there was something about the combination of notes that came together and were no. So yes, the dry down, if I could get through the dry down and kind of hold my breath for 5 minutes, I could start to get out of that opening and enjoy kind of the middle and the dry down, but I just couldn't get past the opening. And there's so many fragrances I have, I shouldn't have to really struggle with an opening when it's that off-putting, at least to me. So yeah, Rose's Berberanza was another really big surprise that it was an unsuccessful blind buy. But again, it went to a wonderful, happy new owner, and I hope you're enjoying it if you're in the audience. Thank you for taking that off my hands. So I'm getting through this really, really, really quickly. So I'm going to save the most devastatingly unsuccessful blind buy as the last one. Now this is a fragrance that I had on a pedestal for years. I have wanted a bottle of this. It's very difficult to find. It's another one from Serge Lutens, and it had gone through the repackaging, and I kind of missed purchasing it in the old packaging when it was really affordable. And then it went through the repackaging where it was like basically $400 a bottle. I couldn't do that and blind buy. And even though I should love this fragrance, this should have been my favorite fragrance of all time, based on the notes and based what I knew about this fragrance. I had heard and read that this fragrance is basically a gorgeous fragrance. It smells like the woods and incense and fruits and maybe some spices and evergreens. I mean, hello, you're speaking in my language. That is something that I would love. So I finally, recently, this is like in the past maybe month or so, finally found the fragrance. I want to say it was at Fragrance Buy. I got it at a reasonable or a fairly good discount. I saved substantial money from the original asking price. You would not believe how excited I was when the package came to my house. I ripped that package open. I just was so excited. And when I sprayed it on, I was a little bit, okay. And it wasn't horrible. It wasn't that it was just a horrible first experience. It's just that, you know, if you have fragrances that you love 90% of what's in it, and there's 10%, there's that 10% of the fragrance, you might know what it is, or you can't quite put your finger on it, but it just doesn't work out. And it kind of overpowers that 90% that you love. And there was 10% in this fragrance that I couldn't get past. I did smell incense. I smelled woods. Maybe the dry fruit. I did get spices, but what I smelled like Worcestershire sauce. There was something about this fragrance that smelled like Worcestershire. And if you are in another country and you don't know what that, it is a sauce. It's like a sauce that it's a dark sauce that you add to like stews and meats to give it a very certain flavor. And even when I walked by someone wearing it thinking, of course I'm always thinking my nose is broken. I'm thinking I've assaulted my nose so much by spraying fragrances every day for as long as I can remember since I was 8 years old. I've finally blown out my nose. My nose is not working anymore. I smell Worcestershire sauce. And somebody told me that I smelled like Chinese food. So there is something in there, maybe the spices with the bay leaf, with a little bit of the woods. It just kind of, it sunk the fragrance in. I think I had expectations so high and I wanted to love it so much. And it was one of these fragrances that I had on a pedestal for like 2-3 years that I thought is going to be my favorite fragrance of all time. And it just, it didn't work out. There was that 10% that didn't work out for me. I know that it is, many people love it. It is, seen as a masterpiece, I'm sure, in some opinions. It just didn't work out for me, and I have decluttered it. That one that one hurt because it was very expensive. But I have subsequently decluttered it, and it has recently found a new home. But that was a tough one. That was a tough one because it's still, even at a discount, it was not cheap. So that was it. That was just a rundown of my most heartbreaking, unsuccessful blind buys of 2021. I know I will have some in 2022. Maybe I will hone my blind buying skills a little bit better next year. Maybe I'll be a little bit smarter when it comes to the really expensive ones, and I will sample first. So thank you for sticking around. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for clicking on that thumbnail and watching. I really appreciate your support, and I will see you on the next one.